hello or evening or whatever, where you are, what time it is. Hope everyone is good anyway, regardless. Yeah, player ratings. Let's go with it. Look, now what this video is, and I have to clarify this because the reason I started doing these originally, like years ago, when I started the channel, actually, was to help me analyze performance. Now it's performance based on the KPIs or the ideas of the coach, right? That's what it is. It helps me analyze how the player's playing based on what the coach requires from the player. So it's not necessarily a player scores a goal, give him an 8 and a 9. It's about the entire performance based on what the manager wants, and that's the key part. That's why I did this. It's a performance review basically. It's a tool that I use to help me personally in football and stuff like that. Just as a little personal thing I like to do. I know a lot of coaches do stuff like this, like monthly as well. Even after each game, sometimes as well, and they show it to the players and they have discussions, and it's good. So something I like to do. But yeah, let's get straight into it. I've got some opinions that I believe most people will disagree with. But anyway, let's go. Goalkeeper. I'm not wasting time. Did he do well? Yeah. Centre backs. Now, I absolutely, excuse me, geez. I absolutely love a defensive partnership. I think every good coach and in every league in the world, every level, I think a defensive partnership, a centre back partnership, whether that's a 2 or a 3, is very, very. It's vital. It is literally the spine and the last resort spine. It's right at the back. It's so key. Little decisions like when to cover the over, how aggressive can I be, the angle to pass the ball out, can I drive, the communication on set pieces. They can see the entire pitch, right? So it's such a key part of any team that you have a good defensive partnership. And one thing we've been blessed with this season and last, actually, is that defensive partnership. Now, whether it's Rodon and Ampadu or Strauch and Rodon, they're both pretty decent in their own way, and they're the spine and the solid spine of this team. And when they're both on it, they dominate. I mean, what moment in the game did Millwall cause any problems to these two? I genuinely can't. I can't think of any. And the fact is, Rodon was, aerially. He got a bit of criticism earlier on in the season because his aerial numbers weren't up. They definitely are now after that. When you're jumping for a ball, when you're a defender, when you're playing a team who likes to put the ball in the air towards the centre backs, you have to be dominant. That is your role. That is your responsibility at that point. And even if you don't win it, you've got to be aggressive. You've got to let them know you're there. You've got to be a threat in the air. And Joe Rodon is that, and he won it most times as well. Absolutely dominant. When he gets the head on it, he did it with power and aggression. He went through the ball. You know what I mean? He didn't just get a little head. He proper went through the ball. I thought he was absolutely solid last night. And Strout too. He didn't have as much aerial duels from what I remember. Maybe that's wrong. But in what he did, he was very solid. And Rodon's decision making as well, to either drive, play a progressive pass, play the ball out wide. Yeah, fantastic. I absolutely love these two. Now, fullbacks, a bit of not really a fullback game for me in terms of how it played out. I feel it was quite compact out wide in the way Millwall played. I think Millwall's shape defensively was very much don't allow us to have overloads out wide, for the most part. Now again, Junior Firpo did get an assist from the overlap. But generally speaking, they actually did quite well to nullify our fullback threat compared to what we've seen. And that's credit to them and the way they set up. Same for our wing threat as well. Although we had wing threat, a lot of it was kind of reliant on combinations centrally a bit more. Or from one side to the other quickly. So it wasn't really a fullback game, in my opinion. It wasn't a game where the fullbacks were necessarily key parts. Although having said that, for the goal, obviously Junior Firpo was. Like I said, you can keep us out, but you can't keep us out for 90 minutes. We will find a way through because we have quality players. And you saw Firpo at times literally played in that 10 role, playing wherever he wanted, because that's the freedom I believe the manager gives these players the confidence in the team, the confidence in the 11 that's playing the game to win the game. And if they feel like they need to express themselves and go on the right, go in the 10 for a little bit during the build-up, he'll give them that freedom to do that. And it's exactly what he did at his Norwich team. There's so much freedom and fluidity in their team, and it really helps, especially against teams that, set up in a way that Millwall do, where they're very regiment, very solid. You have to find little ways to exploit that. But not really a fullback game, and I'm going to get into more interesting parts of the game in a minute. So, yeah, they were both solid, they were both fine, but not really a fullback game. Midfield, and just like centre-back, I think what a midfield we've got. This, for me, was a perfect game for Joe Rothwell, because Millwall are not really a transition team. They're not a team who are going to get their wide players to tuck in, or their advanced midfielder to tuck in and get behind Rothwell and create space and stretch him. They didn't really do that. That's not the team they are. And I think that works perfectly for Joe Rothwell. When his main reliance is being aggressive forward and not worried about behind him, he's fantastic. And I think this was a perfect game for him in that sense. I think it really was. He dictated the tempo, he dictated the pace of the game, he dictated the move most times. My only criticism during the game was, I think there were 2 or 3 key moments where he just got the weight of pass wrong, where we probably could have been in. But that's fine. It is what it is. But generally speaking, his decision making to either drive, play wide, play centrally. I think one thing that was really evident in this game was whoever picked it up, whether it was these two or Rodon, there was such an emphasis on, can we play into those spaces? Can we find Harrison? Can we find Perot? Can we find Solomon forward? It was so we're always looking for it. Now that's fine, but there always has to be a solution in terms of that player has to be in that space. Are they ready for it? And that's where everyone needs to be on the same wavelength. That's where communication's key. But generally speaking, it worked, and I love that. And Joe Rothwell just, like Farker said, he's the type of player where if you love football, you love Joe Rothwell. Because what does he do that people don't like? He's a midfielder, he's an 8 who loves going forward. He doesn't want to slow the game down. He doesn't want to play sideways. He wants to go forward. Like, he'll either run with it forward or he'll pass it forward, but he will go forward. If one pass is sideways, his next pass will not be sideways. That will be forward. And he was outstanding, absolutely outstanding. Great game for him to come in, by the way. And then Snacker on the other side had a very different role in this game to Rothwell for me, particularly off the ball. I think Tanaka's role was breaking stuff up, just getting in the faces of the Millwall players, because they've got some good midfielders. Denore is a good player I like. He's got a good mix of technical and physical ability. And Tanaka stood up to that test today. I mean, they do move the ball all right, to be fair. They do some decent little triangles to Millwall. They've got some nice technical players. But I think for the most part, the reason it's not higher because there were times where they did get away from them. But for the most part, I think Tanaka's role in this game was very much what you want from Tanaka. Can he be involved in breaking the play up? He reads the game so well. I don't know if you realise, but when Tanaka's in a 2v1, when he's got 2 guys running at him, he's so good at understanding when to react. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't dive in too early, doesn't do it too late. He cuts out so many passes, and there were so many second balls where either they cleared it down the line, Tanaka was there, or Joe Rodon wins the header, Tanaka's there. I just thought he was so key in giving us the ball back, in maintaining the ball. And his goal is an absolute joke. This guy is so talented, by the way. So talented. I absolutely love him. Wingers. Now, this is where the controversy comes in. This is where people will disagree with me. This is just my perspective. This is just from my experience, different to other people's. And I want to talk about the wingers, but when I do, I want to talk about Dan James first, and I want to talk about tired. Now, I completely disagree. I do not think he looked remotely tired. There's a difference between looking tired to the point where you shouldn't be playing and working so hard that you need rest between sprints. And for me, that was the case. And why wasn't he tired? Well, for me, and not for me, watch the game, look at the last 15, 20 minutes, count how many times he high-pressed Millwall aggressively, how many times he was on them before anyone else was. Also count how many times he pressed the goalkeeper. In the last 20 minutes, he pressed their goalkeeper twice. And I mean, from the halfway line, he went to the fullback, to the centre-back, to the goalkeeper. That's not a tired player, in my opinion. Maybe it is. Maybe that's what tired players do. They press really hard. Not for me. Now, the issue is, I don't know if anyone sprints before. Obviously, sprinted. When you sprint, you need to recover. When he sprint the entire length of the pitch to press, also to counter, by the way. Remember that counter where Solomon's got the ball? Dan James from the edge of the box sprints. That's everyone. That's in the last, 15, 10 minutes? Past everyone. Absolutely sprints past him. Not tired there, is he? When you do that, you need recovery. So that's where you might look tired for the next 5 minutes. Right? And that's where you need to protect your players. For example, I did my coaching stuff at the weekend, and we were out for like 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours. And we had to get involved in the session. So I was playing. Now, I can easily run a 5K. Well, not easily. I'm dead after it. But I can run a 5K. Decent, right? I could do it probably 4 or 5 times a week. Right? A steady, nice 5K. And I'm fine. Now, at the end of the 5K, I do a sprint. The last 100 metres. I'll sprint the last 100 metres. Now, that's the bit that kills me. I could do the 5K at any pace. I'm nice. The last 100 metres kills me. After that, honestly, I need about 10 minutes recovery time. The point being, when I was doing the coaching, when I'm just running around, giving it 1-2s, moving, I'm fine. When I had to drive at someone, 1v1, and I had to run past them, or I had to run into a gap, like in a counter-attack, I was done. It's about recovery. It's about what you're doing. Anyone can run around at this level. They're all fit. Even if they're tired, they can still run around. The sprinting that does you. It's the sprinting that kills you. And he sprint more than anyone in that game. Everything Dan James. Watch Dan James. Everything he does is sprinting. That's a different type of fitness. That's a different type of fatigue. I think a lot of the stuff he did were off the back of sprints. So, not for me. When you're sprinting as much as he is, you're not tired. He was doing it in the 85th minute. He was doing it in the 80th minute. He went over on the other side and he was still doing it. He was not tired. I honestly don't understand where that came from. I don't get it. Just because a few things didn't come off, we've seen that happens. He was not tired. I'd genuinely love to see the sprint numbers. I'd love to see the distance covered. The tempo of the game, and this is from a team perspective, the tempo of the game didn't change from minute 1 to minute 95. We didn't play slower. In fact, you could argue in the second half, the tempo of the game was consistently higher than in the first. Now, for a team that's tired, that doesn't look like that. When did they grow into the game? They didn't. When did they look like growing into the game? They didn't. We dominated the game. We were physically fitter than all them. We dominated it. Weren't amazing, weren't pretty. That's a different conversation. Maybe a little bit of mental fatigue. It's a tough game. It's a tough week. You've had 2 days to recover. Yeah, definitely. But did it affect anything? Were we in complete control? Yes, we were. So that's not a team that looks tired. And that's my problem with this and the whole substitution thing. I don't care about substitutions unless it's needed, and it weren't needed. Look, if you're worried about the players' fitness, then don't, because leave that to the experts who have spent 20 years, working in this field. I'm not going to worry about the fitness of the players because, again, I'm not an expert and I don't know if they're tired or not. They didn't look tired to me. I don't understand how people saying they were, personally. That's just my opinion. I don't think they look tired. You can't dominate a game for the second 45 minutes and be tired. Doesn't work. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Generally speaking, I want to get that out there. Generally speaking, on the wingers, yeah, like I said, a lot of endeavour, a lot of work. Like I said, Millwall did really well to nullify that space behind and really double up every time Manor Solomon got the ball. Doubled up very well. But look, these two are brilliant. Even in games where nothing comes off, like Dan James, he did a lot of the work, but that final decision didn't come off. Even for Solomon, a lot of the time, that final decision didn't come off. If I have one criticism of Manor Solomon as a winger, what I like to see from a winger, I just wish every now and again, instead of looking for the pass, he just go himself. That's it. Just go yourself. Because every time he does, the defender stands no chance. I just wish he'd just do that a little bit more. But hey, that's just me knowing that he'd destroy them every time, so it's what it is. But yeah, wingers, decent. And this is it as well. Like, if Dan James doesn't start next week, that'll be hilarious. Like, there's his rest. But if he does, I don't care. Like, this is it. It's so trying to pit players. What's Ramazani and Nonto think about this? Nothing. What is this rhetoric people try to make online that they're against the manager? It's a bit weird and wrong, to be fair. They're not. It's weird to even suggest that. They'll be really pissed off. Yes, every player in the world is pissed off when they don't play. You've got to get on with it and deal with it. I don't know why this is sympathy, like, oh, they need to play more. Fine, yeah, maybe they do, but they're not, so get on with it. Keep working hard. That's football. That's the way it is. God. Not easy. You're not going to play every game. Every sub is annoyed. I hated it. When I used to get took off in the 88th minute when we're 6-0 up, I'd be fuming. I hated it. Trust me, I'd kick off if I didn't play. Or I didn't start. I'd be fuming. You've got to get on with it. It is what it is. They're professionals. They get paid a lot of money to do this. So, from that perspective, you've got to get on with it. It's your job. You've got to keep working harder to push yourself. It's not player against manager. It's such a weird rhetoric that people online make that, oh, these guys, because I've got them on my profile picture, that means they're on my team. No, they're not. They're not. Stop. But yeah, that's my thoughts. I had to get that out. It's annoying me. And then, look, Joel Pro, I'm not going to talk too much on Joel Pro. I think we saw some good things from Joel last night, to be honest. Some real good things I liked, and then some things, usual stuff. Like I said, I don't want to talk about everyone, but I give him a 6. Thought it was all right. By the way, that goal was a joke that didn't count. That goal would genuinely been unbelievable. The little 1-2, the meg nuts, and then boom, chips goalkeeper. Unbelievable finish from Joel Pro. Unbelievable. But the ref, or the liner, got the decision wrong. How many times have we seen that? But that is what it is. Brendan Aronson. I had people quote tweeting my video I did of him last year saying he does know. So they'd waited. And then when he's had a bad game, they've decided to quote tweet a tweet from, I think it was December or November. I mean, come on. But yeah. He was really good, wasn't he, yesterday? It was Brendan Aronson. You know what? He took getting dropped from the USA very personally. He did. You could tell. He looked angrier in this game. He looked annoyed. He looked peed off. Like, he looked peed off. In my opinion, he did look peed off. And look, such an underrated player. I always said that. He has bad performances. He has inconsistencies in his game. But for the most part yesterday, I thought his work rate, as usual, was outstanding. But I also thought on the ball, it was very good. But his decision making, and that's the key part. His decision making was better. He had a spring in his step. When he drove forward, he did it with purpose and anger. Maybe that's because of being dropped by the US squad. It means a lot to him, that. And it will affect you. It will affect you. You either sink or swim. You either feel sorry for yourself, or you get out there and perform. And that's what he did. And full respect to him for that. I just hope he can keep that mentality up. You know, don't use that as a tool to play well when you've been dropped. Do it all the time so that doesn't happen again. But yeah, I thought the aggression when he ran forward, driving past players, committing players 1v1, something we've not seen from him this season that much, but something that he is so capable of. Driving at players 1v1, having confidence to go past them. And he did it 2 or 3 times, and it's really impressive. But yeah, big up Brendan Harrison. Thought he played really well. Joe Pro was decent at times too. But yeah, that's it, people. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for all the support. I'll be really honest, if you're still here, YouTube is very much on the back burner right now with some stuff I'm doing in my personal life. So I appreciate everyone that supports. I'm probably going to do some sort of tactical breakdown in the week if I've got time. I've got some exams and stuff, so I'll try though. But yeah, I appreciate everyone. Please like the video if you haven't. I don't usually say this, but I'd appreciate it. It helps if we could get to 5k by, say, the end of the season. Probably not, but by the start of next season, that'd be great. I appreciate everyone. I'll see you guys in a bit. Bye-bye. Love.